Like in other fields of knowledge, you need to master certain terms and assumptions in order to effectively use that knowledge. Just like in photography, for example, you have this triangle of shutter speed, aperture, and ISO. You have the RAW files, you need to master the log profiles, dynamic range in videography, and then you have this wide blends, the autofocus. There is a lot of entry-level knowledge first to grasp to be able to play with photography. So similarly in astrology, we have to master the meaning of houses, the sign, the planets, position of Pluto, the position of Russian satellites, the quotes of Paulo Coelho, law of attraction, and then the full moon rituals, aka running nude in the dark forest. One can acquire the basic knowledge which is necessary to exploring that branch of knowledge. And conversely, if particular field is lacking that basic assumptions, we can say that this field may lack of real substance. Unfortunately, many people are losing the interest in the subject because they are struggling with overcoming this initial learning curve. So I have prepared some list for you. You need to have some basic rules mastered to be able to play and work with astrology. If you don't have this, then you may feel you are wasting your time. You may feel that you are limping instead of running in this area. Probably others would choose another, but this is the toolbox which I would set for to reach that round one. Will Ashtaka Varga be included? Rasi Drishti, transits, Varga charts? Let's find out what will constitute these basic assumptions to be able to play with Vedic astrology. So in this video I will tell you about the rules you need to master to overcome that initial learning curve, to be able to work and have fun and get some big value from Jyotisha or Vedic astrology. I will not explain all those things because that will take the whole course material, but I will list them and give a short commentary. And if you conquer those initial stumbling blocks, then the world of astrology is open for you. I already had the chance to teach a few courses in both in Poland and Germany, and I have seen those repeated trend, especially in the last course in Poland. If you get stuck on this basic entry level of this concept or even terminology, you will be stuck and you will not be able to grasp those higher concepts. Then you will be bored, you will fall behind, and this whole astrology will become the burden instead of fun. And those who gave some time to master and memorize those terminology and basic concepts, then later on could really benefit from Vedic astrology, and they were already in position to use this ancient science based on their charts, on friends' charts, and so on. So let's work on this. You may write in the vintage old school style using a paper and a pen, but also you can use the digital one like Notion, Evernote or OneNote, and then you can start putting those basic terms, basic concepts, and start to memorize those. First we have to draw the chart, so that would be the birth time and birth date and the birthplace which is needed. It's always best to have this birth time documented from the recorded source. Then we know that we have the most accurate time possible, and these details are needed to draw the chart. Now we are living in a Kali Yuga, so it's hard to do that in 1 minute without the software. So we would need some software to translate all these details of birthplace, birth time and birth date to the chart with houses, signs and planets. And then you need to be able to read the chart. So we have three types. We have the South Indian, we have North Indian, and we have also the East Indian chart. So what is important when you are reading the chart? Where are the signs and where are the houses? This is the vital information for you. And in some type of charts, the houses are fixed in the same places, like in North Indian chart. In the South and East, the signs are in the same places and the houses are changing. Also in some charts we are going clockwise in the South chart, and sometimes we are going anti-clockwise in the North and East type of chart. And then what is very important, you need to understand the shortcuts or abbreviations or the symbols for planets which are placed in these boxes, which are denoting the signs or houses. And what is important here is that sometimes these are written in Sanskrit. For example, instead of the moon, you have a Chandra. So you need to name the Sanskrit name for the planets, right? So for the sun, it's a Surya. For the moon, it's Chandra. For Mars, it's Mangal. For Mercury, it's a Buddha. For Jupiter, we have a Guru. For Venus, it's Shukra. Saturn is Shani. And then we have north and southern node, which are Rahu and Ketu. First, we have those symbols. Then we are going to these energies or ideas. And then they are translated to elements, people in this conventional, visible by our senses world. And what is very important to understand is the triangle of planet, signs and the houses. Houses are denoting the areas, the signs are showing the nature, the place, the environment or the vibe of the house. And it's also very important for the lordship, because based on the sign in the house, the lord is estimated for that house. And the planets, of course, are the actors. They are indicating the dynamic of the chart and the karma. So what's going on, the whole movie, we could say, is directed by those planets in the chart. Then we need to learn something about the signs. And when it comes to the signs, we need to know the order. Like there is the Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and the Pisces. So we need to know that order. And then what is very important, and that was already said, the lordship of the sign has to be memorized. So for example, the Cancer is always loaded by the moon, the Leo is always loaded by the sun, the Gemini and Virgo are always loaded by Mercury, and so on. So you need to understand this lordship, because based on this lordship of signs, the lordship of houses is determined. For example, if you have Cancer in the first house, in the ascendant, then because Cancer is always loaded by the moon, then the moon will always lord the first house. And it's very important, because the first house is showing you interaction with the world. So based now on the moon placement in the chart, this will give the whole story. And there are many flowery descriptions of the signs on the internet. You can find them a lot. But to get what is needed for your interpretation is to know to which group belong each sign. So then you need to understand the fixed, movable and dual signs. You need to understand which sign belong to which element, like a fiery, watery, earthy, and airy signs. This is also very important. You need to know the oddity, which signs are male and female, for example, to be able to ascertain the sex of your children and so on. And also very important is the knowledge of dispositor. This is the planet which is the lording of the sign in which other planet is placed. For example, we know that very important is ascendant lord dispositor, because it shows the health. So then, for example, let's say you are Gemini Lagna and you have Mercury in the Libra. So the lord of ascendant is in the Libra. So because Libra is always lorded by Venus, then the Venus becomes the dispositor of your ascendant lord, which is called Pakesha, and then this Venus will control your health. So then if you will take that Venus in the chart, this will show a lot of story related to the health. Also the timing, the remedy, everything will be based on this. And then, of course, what is very important, you need to get the characteristic of the planet to understand what is really going in the chart, what is the action about. The first grouping would be the beneficence and maleficence. So some planets are well-wishers and some are acting in very harsh way. And this is very important when we talk about the affliction, because some planets have the power to denote the suffering, like the curse, and this is when one planet is afflicted but at least two malefic in the chart by conjunction or the aspect and so on. So you need to know which planets are malefics to know which planet can afflict or cause this curse or suffering in your chart. And then we have planets which are divided into the guna, tattva and the status. So from the yoga or from the Ayurveda, you probably already know that all the whole world is divided into three gunas of sattva, rajas and tamas. So similarly in Vedic astrology, we also have planets which are in sattva guna like Sun, Jupiter and Moon. We have planets in rajas guna like Mercury and Venus, and we have planets also in the tamas guna, tamasic. This would be the malefics in fiery and airy elements. So Mars, Ketu, Saturn and Rahu. So one malefic planet which is working in a harsh way, because this is how malefics are working, is in the sattva. So it is for our good, we say. The motive, we could say, intent is very good. So that is the Surya or the sun. Of course, you need to have the knowledge about the status of the planet. This is very important for various Raja Yoga or jobs to estimate those. For example, you need to know that the sun is showing the king, the Saturn is showing, for example, the masses. And similarly, the moon may show a person who is like mediator between the king or royal or a government and the public and the people. And this could be, for example, the social sector. And then, very important is also the sambandha or relationship between the planets. Some planets are not liking other. For example, we know that Mars doesn't like Mercury, Mercury doesn't like Moon, and Moon is not having any enemy. He is enemyless. And this is based on the division of Sura Asura. So some planets are belonging to that demon category, some are belonging to this god category or godly category. And then we have this sambandha or relation based on the tattva. So we know, for example, that Mercury, being the earthy planet, can be heavily afflicted by the planets in a fiery element like Mars, Ketu and the Sun. This is also important information for analysis of the chart. Then of course we have to deal with the houses, which are denoting the areas. So they are also divided first or foremost to the good and bad houses. So we say that good houses are Kendra and Trikona. Kendra are first, 4, 7 and 10. Trikona are 5th and 9th. We say that in our tradition that the 5th house is the best house, and the Kendra houses are showing the fundamentals of life. So 1st house is us, 7th house is others, and here the special role, place is reserved for our partners and especially our partner. So therefore 7th house is also showing our spouse. 10th house is all about career life, and 4th house is about our security, home, mother, mind. So all that things which are denoted by the moon, they are all collected in the 4th house. For example, based on that we have a status of the planet which is called Yoga Karaka. It is when one planet is lording the Trikona and Kendra, and from the position of lordship we say that this is the best planet in the chart. For example, if you are Taurus Lagna, then Saturn is best planet for you because it will lord the 9th house and 10th house. So the Trikona, which is 9th house, and Kendra, which is 10th house. So this planet have the capacity single-handedly to grant you a Raja Yoga or combination for success. And then we have those challenging ones. We have they are called Dushtana, and the 6th, 8th and 12th. 6th house is showing enmity or weaknesses. 8th house is for great melody like a depth, and the 12th house is showing the losses. Then of course we have to add the Badaka house. We will learn also about that. The Badaka is like a Rahu. It is showing afflictions which are external but invisible. So they are called Agantuka and Adrishta, and the Badaka is very important when it comes to legal cases or accidents or all those unfortunate events in our life which can have very sudden nature. And then of course the Aruda. This is like the house, but it is more tangible. This is like you would like to have something written on the paper. This is like a contract. And this is very much working in the minds of people. For example, the relationship, the interaction with your spouse could be the 7th lord, how you are interacting and what you are getting from this interaction. But the whole marriage and also the factors which are deciding how long this marriage will survive. For example, this is 2nd from the Upapada. So the whole contract of relationship, when in your minds especially you are having sometimes written, sometimes unwritten script about some form of agreement that you are together, you are forming some kind of lovely union. So this is all about the Aruda. So Aruda, when it comes to the Lagna, 1st house, is showing where we belong in the society, because this has to do a lot with perception. When you are, for example, talking about the policeman or army or a government worker or a medical worker or a spiritual worker, then you have some conception. It is some kind of category, something which is manifesting in your mind. So there is some shelf in your mind which is activated when that name or the description of that sector in the society is spoken. So this is Aruda. Aruda is like part of the house or level of houses which is showing the manifestation and the tangible part of the house. And this can be everything. This could be related to debts, to the enemies, to the work, to the relationships. And the interpretation of the Arudas highly depend on the tradition. Of course, now everyone is saying he belongs to tradition. Someone went to India, oh, I made this rishi in the cave, this saintly man in the Himalayas, and he gave me this 15 minutes crash course, very deep knowledge, so now I am belonging to his tradition and now I can teach Vedic astrology. Or I have someone in the family, like an uncle or some grandfather, but in India everyone has someone in the family which was somehow affiliated with Vedic astrology, so this can be very easily said, but by any person. So you need to really check out if that knowledge which is taught by your teacher is belonging to some tradition. And this is very useful and very handy because there is a lot of research needed to decode those sutras in the text. So if you have traditions, then we could say, as my Guruji was teaching, that we are then on the arms of the giants, right? We are sitting on the arms of the giants, which means that we are already benefiting from the research which was done by the tradition, and we are then connecting this to our own, we could say, influence or add-ons to whatever is already there, and so on. So what is important? You need to learn how to calculate Arudas, because without that you will not be able to say where are they placed in the chart. Okay guys, if you like to master this concept of Vedic astrology, turning you from rookie to this medium level, not just some loosely freestyling, but to get contact in the real knowledge coming from tradition from Puri in India. We are starting the course on 15 April, so if you would like to enroll, then you have the email below. Also, the syllabus for the module 1 would be in the description, so you may want to take a look at this. If you have any questions related to this course, then just write me an email, and there are maximal 12 spots, so don't miss this nice opportunity to learn Vedic astrology. And of course, if you like this video, please don't forget to click the like button, subscribe with the bell notification on if you'd like to be notified about similar videos in the future. And now let's go back to this video. This is very important because in the reading of the chart, we are going through these 3 levels of translation. And the last thing would be the formation of the yoga. So how the yogas are formed in the chart, yoga is relation between the planets, and how one state of the planet is giving results for many things in our life. So the first, how yoga is formed, this is by conjunction, so being in the one house. This is the drishti, which is the aspect, and we have to learn 2 types of drishti. Rasi drishti, which is the sign aspect, and also the planetary drishti, which is the planetary aspect. You have to learn also the parivartana, which is the exchange between the planets. So for example, you have Mercury in Leo and the Sun in the Virgo, so these 2 planets are exchanging the places. Parivartana is very important because without that you can miss the prediction. You think this planet is giving one thing, but it is giving unexpected results in its dasha, so it is giving something else, so that being surprised and giving something unexpected can be also seen by this parivartana. Then also Kartari is very important because this will also influence the sign heavily. For example, you have nice Venus in the ascendant, but Saturn in the 12th and Rahu in the 2nd. So the planet is surrounded by the malefics, and this can be a heavily affliction. This can be even a curse in the chart. Yogas are like recipes for something, so you need various ingredients to be present to give rise to some manifestation. So we have many perspectives, and you need 3, for example, position in the chart for a person, let's say, to go abroad or to have some wealth from consultation or anything we will be saying using Vedic astrology. It's not from one point, but it is like ingredient for the recipe. So you need the full recipe to say something definite from the chart. You need to understand the influence. So for example, let's say you have Venus, which is weak and afflicted. Let's say Venus is in Virgo, which is debilitated sign for Venus, and Venus is also with a malefics. So then you need to know that this affliction of Venus will influence 3 things. One will be the house in which Venus is placed. Secondly, houses which are loaded by Venus, so Libra and Taurus, in whichever they are houses. For example, let's say if it's 9th house of specialization, education and fortune, then such debilitation of Venus, if it's also lording the 9th house, will influence those things. And the Venus Karakatva, so the all things in the world like relationship, happiness and vehicles, all controlled by Venus. If Venus is afflicted in your chart, they will also suffer in your life. So of course, when we are talking about state, you also need to master the Avashta. And especially we are talking here about something like Diptadi Avashta, so exaltation, so in which signs the planets are exalted, which means very strong, like Sun is exalted in Aries, always, Moon is exalted in Taurus, Mars is exalted in Capricorn, Jupiter is exalted in Cancer, Mercury is exalted in Virgo, and similarly you have to master in which signs the planet is very weak, like Mercury is always very weak in Pisces, debilitated, Jupiter is always very weak in Capricorn, Moon is always fallen, they say, in the Scorpio. So you need to learn in which sign planets is exalted, in which sign is debilitated, and in which sign they are in friendly sign, neutral sign and inimical signs. And you also need to understand what is the difference between the house and the planet. So the house is showing the role this person or object should fulfill in your life. It shows also the direction. So what is the hierarchy between me and other people or objects signified by the houses. For example, between the 5th and 9th, the relation is always up and down, because in the 5th we have children or our workers, and in 9th house we have the boss or our father. So this is, we could say, up and down hierarchy. But the 7th house is like our partner always. This is the direction, the role, and we could say relation in the society or in the family. But the planets are showing the resources, the materials, the knowledge and the blessings. This is something which is coming from external world, and this is giving our inner satisfaction. So therefore this Karaka is working externally and internally. It is coming externally from the society, and you can see that from taking the houses from the Karaka. For example, 7th Lord from Venus will show where your inner satisfaction in the form of partner will come from society. So you can say from which direction or which circumstances your partner in life will come, and then because Karaka is working on the mental level, this is giving you that mental satisfaction. For example, your mother or your partner should give you some kind of love, respect and also care, and that is what it should be. So the 4th and 7th house people in your life, they will try to give you that blessings, but maybe you are unlucky and maybe you have a mother who will not give you that blessing of the moon. That means that the moon and the 4th or 4th lord, they are not well placed. So you can also see the relationship between the 4th house and 4th lord and the moon to be able to understand how much love, blessing or care or respect from mother, or even learning from mother, because the mother is the first teacher, is given to the person based on your karma. So yeah, as you can see, there is a few bits to master before you are able to analyze the chart. You have to know the lordship of the sign, meaning of planets and houses. You also need to understand how the planets are aspecting other places and which planets are malefics. Also, you need to understand the meaning of the houses, which houses are good, which houses are bad, and where are placed the lords of these houses. Interestingly, these things are kind of uniform or the same for all tradition, or they are very similar also in the other tradition of astrology, like the Greek astrology. But then after that we are going to the more advanced tools which are specifically dedicated to the Vedic or Indian astrology. Then we are talking about the dasha, the varga, the yoga. So the dasha is the special timing which is only seen in the Vedic astrology. Then we are talking about the Panchanga, which are the 5 qualifiers of time. One among them is the nakshatra, so these are the fixed stars, are showing the mental dynamics and the forces which can sustain you. Of course, we are going to the Charakaraka level, the hierarchy of planets based on the degrees, which is showing the soul dimension or the spirit dimension of things. And here very important would be the Atma Karaka. So this can be things which are subconsciously active in our life, and these are showing the lesson we need to learn in this life. For example, if you have Atma Karaka Venus or Atma Karaka related to the the 7th house, most of your lessons will be concerning the relationship. If you have Atma Karaka, Mercury or Jupiter or related to the 10th house, it will be all about your perfectionism, about the skills, about the work. So this is also what parts of your life can make you more spiritual, but it usually also denotes sometimes of deep suffering or deep challenging. You need to rethink the things. So different people will have different lessons to learn, different challenges, and they will also define how they are working, how they are engaging with other people and the world on that very deep level of the spirit. This is the Charakaraka. And of course, very important would be the remedies, because people say that, oh, Vedic astrology is very deterministic, but it's not true. We say that we have 33% of free will, and we have also the upaya, which are the remedies. So they are in the form of mantra, tantra, the yantra, and especially here we are talking about the changing our root karma. So everything which is happening to our life, according to Indian philosophy, is because of our karma. There are 3 types of karma, and this karma is shown by our chart. So if we can diagnose which part of the chart is giving the bad things in our life, then we can protect ourselves from those bad combinations by using the special sacred formulas which are activating the energies which can change those root karma in our life. Also, if we have something good in our chart, let's say we have very nice Venus, Jupiter or Mercury, we can amplify those blessings in our chart by mantra to Shiva, Vishnu or Durga and so on. So these principles would be the additional tools you need to master. But let's call it stage 2. First, we need to learn those previous tools which I was talking about in the beginning. This would be the stage 1. Okay guys, so that's gonna be it from me. I hope you find this interesting and informative. Please don't forget to click the thumbs up. Also subscribe if you'd like to get notification about similar videos coming up in the future. Thanks for watching to the end and being here with me on this channel. And if you like to learn more about the meaning of the houses and the philosophy behind the bhavas, then consider watching this video here.